keep an eye on this J.J. McCarthy kid, man, at Michigan. He's got some moxie. Okay, I'm like, whatever that's worth. You know, Matt Saracen from Friday Night Lights had moxie. Where'd that get him, you know? And McCarthy just has a ho-hum career, 27-1 at Michigan. No big deal. But I'll never forget, he had a semifinal game against Alabama. And I think it was either the first play of the game or the third. He throws an out pattern, and the Alabama DB almost picks it off. And I'm like, oh, gosh, here I am hyping up McCarthy, and he nearly screwed the pooch on the first drive. And, of course, as the game progresses, J.J. McCarthy has the ball with 5 minutes left, down a touchdown against Alabama in the Rose Bowl. If that's not pressure, I don't know what pressure is. McCarthy completes a big pass on 4th down. He has a huge scramble, ends up getting a touchdown pass, ties the game. They win in overtime. And all of a sudden, J.J. McCarthy, okay, I see you, J.J., you got some pop. And he's drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. But then he gets hurt and misses the entire rookie season. He misses the season, and Sam Darnold jumps in. Sam Darnold, who was drafted by the Jets high, couldn't do anything in New York, bounces around, and all of a sudden lands in Minnesota, and Sam Darnold is lights out last year, okay? Until the end of the season. And national television kind of poops his pants in the regular season finale with everything on the line. Playoff game, he gets destroyed, humbled at home, and they move on from Sam Darnold. But all you hear is like, I don't know if J.J. McCarthy's the guy. There's all this noise from reporters. J.J. McCarthy has not thrown a meaningful pass in the NFL yet. His last meaningful pass was January 8th, 2024 in that Rose Bowl. I am coming out right now and telling America I'm all in on J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings. They will play in the NFC Championship this year. I'm making my prediction here in June of 2025. I am all in on this team. Now, it's a couple things at play. First, I want you to listen to somebody who played with Josh Allen and who's now seen J.J. McCarthy up close, Harrison Phillips. Here he is giving some praise to Mr. J.J. McCarthy.
Man, he's got some confidence, and he reminds me of like Josh Allen when I was with him in Buffalo, coming into his own and understanding the power that he has to lead this organization, and he's doing a fantastic job doing that.
Oh, really? He reminds you of Josh Allen.
Okay.
Oh, my. Okay, so I said earlier, I like when people come into the studio and I'm a sponge. I try to learn stuff. You guys might remember Aaron Jones, the running back. He was in Green Bay, now he's on the Vikings. Came in here. During the commercial, I'm peppering these guys with questions. What do you got? Without any prompting, Aaron Jones could not stop talking about J.J. McCarthy. The leadership, the dude's got it. Sometimes you just have it. It's a quality. You know, girl walks into a bar, she's got it. That's the girl. Quarterback walks in, and he's got command of the offense. Okay? Aaron Jones is running back, raving about it. And then we got a guy here at the network who happens to know Kevin O'Connell very well. Kevin O'Connell really, really likes J.J. McCarthy. Oh, by the way, you know who else likes J.J. McCarthy? Jim Harbaugh. Do you remember what he said on this show about J.J. McCarthy?
Arm talent, athleticism, it factor, winning with numbing repetition. When people get a load of JJ and what he, how he can throw the ball, how he spins it, his athleticism, his intelligence, talk about it factor, he's got it, the competitiveness that he has, and they get around him and they really start digging in and they start talking to him.
So you start adding these things up. Jim Harbaugh, who knows a little bit about football, loves J.J. McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell is one of the brightest young minds in the league. That's undeniable. Okay? How do I know this? Well, I don't know. Caleb Williams coming out of USC. He's like on record saying, I want to play for Kevin O'Connell. How do I get to Minnesota? Caleb Williams wanted to go to play for Kevin O'Connell. And do you remember the Pastronaut, one of the great nicknames in the NFL? Josh Dobbs. Minnesota had a quarterback injury. They trade for Josh Dobbs, thrust him on the field that week. He gets a win. Next week, gets a win. Kevin O'Connell is freaking good, guys. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of good coaches in the league. I've got him in my top 5 coaches already. And I don't think he's won a playoff game. Lost with Kirk Cousins. Lost with Darnold. And I've got Kevin O'Connell 5th of my coaches in the NFL right now. That's how in high regard I have him. Okay? So you add all this up. Harbaugh loves it. J.J. McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell, super sharp mind, who everybody wants to play for. Remember, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, guys, still not signed. I'm lifting my ban on Aaron Rodgers. Yesterday, I refused to mention the guy's name.
All right. Aaron Rodgers is signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Let's talk about this. There's a lot to unpack here, honestly. There really is. First off, the title of this is Minnesota Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, the next Josh Allen. That is quite the title. They're completely different quarterbacks, and they do completely different things, and they have completely different physical skill sets. Now, I am incredibly high on J.J. McCarthy. I've gone through all the takes of people doubting JJ and, you know, what he can and can't do, defended his lack of stats, I guess, in college. I'm a 100% defender of JJ McCarthy. But when you start using clips of like random players being like, oh, he reminds me of Josh Allen, and look what his head coach said before the draft, that he's a great quarterback, and it's like, do you think Harbaugh is going to come out here and say that he's not a good quarterback and I wouldn't draft him? Do you think that, you know, people that are now playing on his team are going to just be like, I don't know about him, he's really not that good? Like, to me, that starts to kind of water down the argument a little bit, because you get further from like actual objective truths, and you get to kind of like clearly biased subjective statements said by people who you would expect to say the things that they're saying. And that's why I'm kind of like, okay, you know, like, can we just look at this a lot more practically? And when you say, oh, JJ McCarthy, Josh Allen, it's like, you know, like, again, we gotta settle down a little bit here. And I think Kevin O'Connell is a top coach in the NFL as well. But then you start going to Dobbs, and yeah, they had a couple good games, and then they, like, you know, everyone started nosediving. So Kevin O'Connell still needs a great quarterback to truly be great. And I think the one thing that Kevin O'Connell needs to work on is troubleshooting. I think he's awesome at putting quarterbacks in positions to succeed. I think there's no question about that. And that was my whole reason why I thought Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings were going to be legitimate contenders. I was one of the only people this time last season, saying they're going to be contenders. And I kept saying, I think Sam Darnold's going to start. Sam Darnold started. They were contenders. The rest is history. But the one thing that I think kind of remains to be true right now, something that Kevin O'Connell, because Kevin O'Connell is still a growing coach. He is still incredibly young in his coaching career. So he's got to continue to grow and evolve, just like every other coach before him has done. And he needs to be better at troubleshooting. When things are not going according to his plan, he needs to be better at troubleshooting. He did not do enough. This is just a fact. He did not do enough from the Detroit Lions game to the Los Angeles Rams game. And even during that game, when things were not going according to plan, he did not pivot. He did not make any changes that needed to be done in that moment. And at first, I was originally kind of like, I don't think this game is going to happen like it did against the Rams. From the Lions to the Rams, because I even said, I remember I made a video, and I was also saying this a lot in the comment section. I said, I'm excited to see what answers Kevin O'Connell has for Sam Darnold. And the answer was none. Straight up. None. And it shocked me. I mean, it really did. It was kind of like, whoa. And so when you put that together with someone like J.J. McCarthy, and now, you know, essentially a rookie quarterback, J.J. is going to need answers. He's going to need troubleshooting. It's not going to just be linear progress. And so I'm interested to see what Kevin O'Connell has in store for that. Because the truth is that Kirk Cousins didn't need to be developed. Sam Darnold, for the most part, didn't need to be developed. Those quarterbacks needed to be put in positions to succeed. And Kevin O'Connell did that with flying colors. No question about it. What can he do now with a quarterback like JJ McCarthy, who's clearly going to be up and down, left, right. I mean, like, that's how it works. It's not just you just get better at, they always say, you always just try to get better every single day. It's impossible. You can't be a little bit better the day before every single day. You just can't. If you did, then it would just, the numbers would be through the roof. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, all these quarterbacks, it would just be through the roof, man. They'd never lose. They'd never look back. Once they reach this one part, it's just like it would just be the point of no return. And it's not the way it works. Patrick Mahomes, the beginning of 2024, interception. And you needed to troubleshoot. Andy Reid and Mahomes needed to get back in the lab and be like, all right, how do we find our way through this? We're losing receivers. Like, how do we get back on track here? How do we minimize this? And that is something that Kevin O'Connell, I believe, needs to develop an aspect of his coaching. And it's a hard thing to do. I think you have a lot of great coaches there. Shanahan, I don't think has done a great job of that so far. Sean McVay, I think, is starting to come into that now. And again, these are coaches that I think are great, are top coaches. Kevin O'Connell, without a shadow of a doubt, is a top coach to me. No question about it. So do not mistake this for me just kind of like doubting Kevin O'Connell or doubting the Minnesota Vikings or doubting JJ McCarthy, because it could not be further from the truth. My record on this team and these players and coaches and whatnot, go check it. Go back to what I was saying about them in 2024. So it's like, that's why I'm very comfortable having this type of take. It's because my expectations are so high that I'm totally comfortable exploring some of the pitfalls that could come. I'm not someone that's just going to blindly be like, they're going to the NFC Championship game. I've seen enough. It's like, no. Nah. Is it possible? Absolutely. But what could stop that from happening? It's more interesting to me to try to figure out what could stop that. When I look at a team that I think is really great, especially as the season goes on, I often will think, how can this team lose? How can you stop? How can this team be stopped? That's how you fight bias. That's how you get closer to the truth. Otherwise, you start to believe no one can stop this team. And it's like, really? If you start to believe that, then you're probably not looking at something clearly. So if your original take, and maybe it is, the JJ McCarthy is going to ball out and the Minnesota Vikings are going to be in the NFC Championship game. Great. That's your take. I encourage you now to try to cut that. Try to prove that take wrong. Try to figure out, why is that not true? It's what you do in research. You never set out in research, and like true research that really matters in the world, right? Medical, psychology, whatever it may be, true science. You're never trying to prove something right. You're never trying to prove your hypothesis right. You're trying to prove it wrong. By trying to prove something wrong, you fight the bias and get closer to the reality of the situation. And so that's why my conclusion with that is, like, I need to see Kevin O'Connell do a better job troubleshooting with a quarterback, especially a quarterback who we know there's going to need to be troubleshooting. Just like there was for, let's just pick all the quarterbacks who had great rookie years. Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert. They all needed to be troubleshooted. Those are just the most recent great rookie seasons. That's what I want to be able to see Kevin O'Connell do with JJ McCarthy. I believe that JJ McCarthy will be a great quarterback and will have a ton of success. I believe that. Do I believe that he's not going to need to be troubleshooted? No, I do not. I mean, like, I believe there's going to be plenty of things that he's going to get lost in, just like every quarterback before him has. I guarantee you he's going to make some mistakes. There's going to be some defenses that just cause him fits. I believe that. I'm pretty confident that he's just not going to have 45 touchdowns, 1 interception, and average 315 passing yards per game, But like the people who said, oh, he didn't really have to throw that much in college, he can't really throw. Kevin O'Connell likes to throw. Like, that was one of the takes from John Middlecoff, which, like, I understand what he's saying, but I always push back on that. Just because you're not asked to do something doesn't mean you can't do something. Which, again, that's why I've defended JJ from those criticisms. And I'm looking at this more through the lens of JJ McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell's relationship rather than each of them individually. I'm confident in what they can do individually. I want to see what they can do together. I'm confident with this roster. I'm confident that they're only going to need so much out of a JJ McCarthy. But how does Kevin O'Connell handle that And how does J.J. McCarthy navigate not only that, but as well as the relationship with Kevin O'Connell? So it's a little bit more complicated than meets the eye from my viewpoint. And it's not just like, well, C.J. Stroud had a great rookie year. Jaden Daniels had a great year. Justin Herbert had a great year. Like, and Kevin O'Connell's a great coach. And J.J. McCarthy, Harbaugh, liked him. And he won lots of games in Michigan. It's like, sometimes we can say 1 + 1 = 2. I mean, 1 + 1 always equals 2. But sometimes when you're looking at something, that's not the way you get it. Technically, when you're looking at art, you can actually reduce it, geometrically to a 1 + 1 = 2. Doesn't mean you should, though. And that's when you start to look at things too mathematically, too statistically, too much through kind of like a fantasy football gambling eyes, whatever it may be. It's like there's other factors at play here. And in June, I choose, personally, it's more interesting to me to explore those factors, to kind of have fun with them, to kind of try to figure out where can things go right, where can things go wrong, continue to form my opinions, and then watch the season and then adjust as we go along for the ride, rather than just saying, Kevin O'Connell, good, roster, good, J.J. McCarthy, good, NFC Championship game, let's party. Just not my style. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings having a one-way ticket to the NFC Championship game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.